Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Hit the bell, subscribe. We have new content coming out daily. Make sure you subscribe. God bless you guys. Are we living through an intentional provocation campaign?
Yes, I think there's no question that the Democrats, Biden and the rest of them, are doing everything they can to goad us and to push us. And there's a smugness. And I think it starts with Barack Obama. I was really influenced by Andy McCarthy's book, Ball of Collusion, which he wrote back in 2019, where he ties in very directly what Obama did to corrupt the intelligence community, the FBI, the Justice Department. Hillary Clinton took advantage of that. And one of the things I'm urging the House Republicans to do is to subpoena all of the records of the Clinton Foundation, which involves probably 30 or 40 times more money than the Bidens. I mean, the Clintons thought big when they stole a lot. And so here's poor Joe Biden from Delaware, and he's hanging out at the beach thinking to himself, if the Justice Department's going to protect me anyway, and if Hillary has pioneered stealing on a grand scale, why not me? And so he says to his poor drug-addicted son, you have a real future. You could be a bagman. They probably watched reruns of The Sopranos, thought to themselves, we could do this. No reasonable person can argue that money came from Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Russia, Romania, and China because Hunter Biden was really smart. The truth, and he himself said and wrote that he was a drug addict for a large part of this period. If his name had been Hunter Smith, he wouldn't have gotten a dime. And it's clear what was happening. His dad was not just taking care of him, his dad was taking care of the whole family. Remember, we already have at least one transaction in which money comes in, about $3.5 million from the widow of the mayor of Moscow, and it gets divided up among the family. I mean, it's sort of like, Joe's taking care of everybody. So his daughter-in-law gets 35 grand, somebody else gets an amount, somebody else, I think they had like 9 or 10 people, they're all eating off the trough. And then we're supposed to be told, oh, there's not anything really wrong going on. I mean, it's delusional. Meanwhile, you turn around and there happen to be 4 indictments. And by the way, I think the Atlanta indictment is the most egregious, the most absurd. I mean, the idea that Rudy Giuliani, who as a young deputy U.S. attorney and then as a young attorney in New York City for the federal government, he used the RICO Acts. He understood the RICO Acts. He helped write the RICO Acts. The idea that this thing, which was specifically designed for the mafia and for drug dealers, is now being used to go after the former mayor of New York. It's just, you couldn't write a novel in which these things happen. And by the way, these guys are so arrogant that they're stupid. So Weiss, who is a terrible lawyer, who has pathetically mishandled the Hunter Biden case, suddenly gets promoted to be the special investigator, elevated, despite everything he's done wrong already. The reaction, he's elevated on Friday. The reaction is so bad on Friday that I am told, this is hearsay, but I am told by a reliable source that Friday evening, somebody from Washington called the district attorney in Atlanta and said, you have to indict on Monday. We have to cover up all of the mistakes we just made with Weiss. And she said, apparently, my jurors aren't coming back till Tuesday. And they said, you didn't hear me. You have to indict on Monday. And she said, well, they're not going to get here before noon. They said, it doesn't matter. She said, this means it's going to be 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock at night. They said, it doesn't matter. We need the news media shifting.
Who made that phone call?
We don't know. And I'm telling you up front, this is hearsay, but it's from a person who has remarkably good sources.
I totally believe it, though, because that would explain why they leaked and they messed up on the clerk document, why she was exhausted, and why they had the 11 p.m. press conference, Mr. Speaker.
Can you imagine? Hannity conned me into coming out and sitting in the truck with him for 2 hours, which is, when it was ridiculous. But anyhow, because we're trying to figure out what the hell, what's going on, and so I'm out there with him, and it suddenly hit me. She'd already released the charges that the jury was going to vote on before the jury voted on them. So if you had any doubt about how totally rigged this was, You knew that this is entirely a left-wing Democratic district attorney who has manipulated the grand jury. As you know, there's the old saying that a grand jury can indict a ham sandwich if that's what the prosecutor wants. Well, in her case, they were so clumsy, and this followed how clumsy they were with Weiss on Friday.
Just
so on Monday,
they're
we have equally clumsy.
What you're building out, now we have the time to really get into detail here, is that somebody from D.C. called Fulton County and said, get it done. So just finish that thought, Mr. Speaker.
Well, I think what people have to understand is none of this stuff is happening by accident. You've had a consistent, steady manipulation of the law at every level in order to tie it into the news media. So they were getting beaten up on Friday badly because the appointment of Weiss as a special counsel was so stupid, so indefensible, that even places like the New York Times are beginning to break a little bit and say, I don't know that I can defend this. And so they needed a new story. And their news story was going to be Fulton County. But remember this, they release the charges before the jury votes. Now that should tell everybody how totally rigged this is. And the charges are absurd. It's 44 pages of baloney. I mean, a Fulton County district attorney is making allegations about other states outside her jurisdiction. It makes no sense at all, but nothing about this makes sense. I mean, one of Jack Smith's major charges in D.C. is an 1870 Ku Klux Klan law. Now, I mean, do you realize how nuts you have to be to charge a former president of the United States under an 1870 law designed to break the Ku Klux Klan in South Carolina? And this stuff goes on all the time. And the ground rule you said at the break is exactly right. There is no law. When I'm on these shows with lawyers, I keep saying to them, why do you pretend we're dealing with the law? We're dealing with power. And those who have power are willing to use it ruthlessly and willing to break every rule if that will destroy Trump and if it will help them protect their own.